So we get kind of straight into it. I want to understand you as like what drew you to art to begin with. Like, what were the first images or things, ideas that got you to get into painting and become a painter?
Well, the idea of being a painter for me has like very early. I remember when I was like 12 or something. One night my father came home and told to me and my brother like, guys, I have this money, I'm gonna spend this money for you to learn the other language, which is English. And at the time my brother was like, okay, let's not respond right now. So at that time he came to my room, he was like, Haniko, they are starting to make decision for us. So we have to change it. And he asked me, do you have this feeling that you're gonna leave this country? And I was like, no, I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna, have my life in Iran, my marriage, my kids, and I'm gonna die here. And then he asked me like, okay, so how we can just like pretend something else that we are not gonna learn English, never. Because that was like, so then, yeah, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do something like, more joyful, which definitely is not studying anything. And I was like, okay, I try to painting. And I guess he decided to go like learning, I guess, football or something. So yeah, the day after, like, told my father, I was like, okay, sure, this is a decision, okay, go. But then, many years later, I remember when I was struggling to learn English, my father was just like sitting and moving his leg like, oh yeah, you wanted to stay here, right? You wanted to know everything here. So, but yeah, that was my first step for being a painter. And when I was in Iran, everything around me was just like about like, how can I be better than a camera? And I really tried to be better than a camera. I was just like hyperrealistic painter, just like, that was my goal, like spending 8 months, a year, just to finish a painting. And if it was even longer, I was more happy. And I was really trying to show the beauty to my paintings, even like, because that became kind of my job in Iran also, because I had some customers, they were coming to me like, can you paint my father, can you paint my weddings, pictures and stuff. And even I remember I was trying to play with paints, to play with the lights and everything, to make these pictures even more pretty. So that was the second goal that I had, to make everything prettier. And yeah, that's how happened. So I can continue the story to how I ended up to. Should I go that way to continue?
I'm curious, like, so what changed for you then? I know we had conversations around it, and there wasn't.
Yes. So then, what I was, as a young woman in Iran, I was seeing what's happening exactly in society. I could see the pressure, I could see how hard it is for being a woman. And we were kind of, with my friends and with my school, like, we were doing some stuff under the, under the sea. But in 2017, I remember that that was the first basically flame of Emenaker, the one that happened last year here. But the first flame of that was in 2017. That we were like, okay, it's not gonna work out. And everything was changing for us as a woman, as an artist, as like everything. And then sanction happened kind of at the end of that year. And before sanction, I was like, okay, because I was an activist and I was like working, teaching and this stuff. Because I was an activist, the government and I got some notice that you cannot be a teacher anymore. I was like, okay, fine, I can still paint, I have my customers, the permits, everything. But sanction happened, and after sanction, I think in 2 days, 3 days, I had to pay like 10 times more to buy just one tube. And I was like, they're not paying it. So basically, that was the idea that I was like, okay, I don't want to be here. Whatever I'm trying to do, just like make the life prettier, just like show this beauty through my painting. I was like, it's not matched with whatever I'm experiencing. It was totally different, and then it's like, okay, I'm done. And that was the moment that I really decided to go to apply for, UCLA. Yeah.
So you started UCLA in 2021. How did the ideas of painting change? Immigrated? Like, did it change?
Oh, yes.
Or like, art in general, it's not awesome.
Well, as I told you that I remember that I had this dream in school myself, like spending time for painting, 8 months, a year. The other one was maybe more creative. And the other one was like, yeah, how can I make it just like even very hyper-realistic? And they were just like, there was an egg fruit, I was just thinking, just in that round. So these three were the things that I was like, I'm gonna break them for myself. I was like, I'm not gonna be like a slow painter, I'm gonna be as fast as I can. I'm gonna delete all the paints. So basically, my first works that I applied for UCLA were just like monocolor. I was just using it blue, black, and white. That's it. And the other one was like, I'm gonna be free as much as I want. I want to show the beauty, and I wanted to have these creatures, like figures that I was their god. I made them. And at the beginning, I don't know if you remember, all of my figures had the penis and balls in the face, and I was just like making these hollow for everyone to see. It's really in my paintings. So that's how I came. That was the first steps. Then LA, living in LA, just like as a working with Haniko and locally, then it kind of changed my painting. I think it made my paintings a little bit bold, and I wanted to have my colors back, so I get them back. And yeah, I guess like the idea of the painting, the idea of my paintings, which is like making tension, resistance, these are still there, but I guess I'm finding my volume, I'm finding my language toward my viewers. And maybe when I was in Iran, I was just like more, I was screaming. When I was in Iran, in my paintings, through my painting, I was screaming. But now I'm trying to, through satire, I would say, through dark humor, give you some information. This is how I grew up actually. Like, I remember when my father was like one of the persons who was like teaching me life through, from some of you might know, like Moulana Nasruddin, or yes, or some, Moulana Nasruddin is a character of literature of Iran who is doing some funny things, but giving you some, teaching you something, to do something fun. So yes, that was the things that I was like, okay, and then I moved to this, yeah, so.
And there's so much humor in your work. I think that's like kind of inevitable. It's a very dark humor often, and I think the colors do attract you. And that's like from your original work. If you saw Haniko's work previously, it's like very macro, and often and very different. Actually, it's changed quite a bit in the last few years. And these bright colors do attract you. And as you get closer to them, you're like, oh, these are funny. And then you start to look at them, you're like, oh my gosh, like what is actually happening in them? Dark humor is a way to talk about things, but also a way to kind of deal with censorship.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Censorship is something you lived under both in Iran, but also in the West.
Yeah. I would say that, continuing your words, I would say yes, making these humors is a tool for me. It's a tool of survival. Like in Iran, there is a censorship. They know it. We all know it. But we want to live there. We wanted to live there. And at the time, you had to do whatever you wanted to do in a different way. So basically, for me, using humor is just like going a little bit further, but still you are all around your goal. You are going inside of it. That's how I'm trying to, give the message, give the information that I want. And yes, I'm using humor a lot, and I really enjoy that because it's just like this safe space to talk with people. I have this feeling that if I go very serious, my name is a little bit gent. I'm not getting people gonna like distance. It's really hard for people.
Some of the things you're talking about are quite heavy. And so as you're getting, like, the colors, if I see a painting that's very, like, talking about something awful happening in the world, and it's very over, it's hard for me necessarily to get close to it because I think the initial reaction is to kind of just want, it's too uncomfortable, or it's too true, or it's too painful.
Yeah.
But I see these very attractive paintings in a way. They're very colorful, they're very bright, sometimes very beautiful as well. like looking at these flowers, seeing spread, it's like seductive in a way. But I'm getting closer and I'm starting to realize, oh, what do you actually need to say?
Yeah, but at first step I'm trying to seduce people.
Yeah.
Just get them get attention, and then later, in second layer, they say, okay, there is something uncomfortable. There is something that they will get the other feelings, and other feelings that I really enjoy to give them. Yes, these are my categorizing for my paintings. The first layer, and this is water. The first layer is make it. I mean, they are giving your attention, but they are not in that they feel pretty or beautiful. I'm trying to kind of like play with this idea. So yeah.
So, and to another question, are you keep, or we are going to talk specifically about stuff that works, but actually more that I want to ask about your work in general. Just like, I think, right, we went to school together. I understand kind of like conversations that were had, but also in the world in general. Do you feel like your works are kind of, people are wanting them to be autobiographical or confessionals? And do you feel, especially as a woman who came to you from Iran, there's kind of like pressure put on you or expected of you to be painting or talking about your work in a certain way?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like, it's totally different. When I was painting in Iran, when I was in Iran and I was a painter, like at that moment after 2017 and later like 2021 when I applied, whatever I was doing wasn't a question. They could see, okay, she's trying, even as I a lot of my Persian around it. They were like, she's trying to give a message, she's an activist, she's doing this stuff. But then when I came here, something like very changed, and I'm still dealing with, and I'm trying to keep myself. No, I don't want to go that way. Which is, they want to put the sticker on me. You are Persian. You are from Iran. You immigrated. You are a woman. All of these things, they are the things that I'm really struggling to not go that way. Like if you look at my paintings, it's rarely you can see some motifs or elements from Iran. Also, as you said, I had a chador, I had these hijabs, symboling my state in Iran when we had a conversation. At that time, yes, I could show even more. But here, I'm trying to find another way to talk with people, which is not showing, okay, I'm Persian, I'm coming from here, this is my motifs, this is how I grow up, this is my culture, this is my background. Definitely, there is a pain on my shoulder that I brought with myself here, and definitely I'm gonna work on it to show it as much as I can. But I don't want to go the simple, the easy way. This is the hardest way, and people really asking me like, you understand I have like any motifs from like this historical part of Iran, or like, do you wanna have hijab in your painting? And I'm like, this is a job that I'm having. This is a pain behind the hijab. And that's how I'm seeing my paintings, and just struggling with this giving me some basics that I don't want.
Because there's a universality to it. I think it's not just very often we these paintings to be, especially if you're that from good art. In a few certain places, like they want you to be a Iranian painter, and then that's that struggle hiding there, as opposed to maybe it's just struggles. It is there, but it's also here.
Yes, it's not so like. No, that's a good point actually. That's how I'm trying to have my viewer, and this is like, I have a pain, and you don't need to specifically have my pain to understand me. You have your own life, you're on somewhere else. But these are the things that you're sharing, right? Like imagine like about like the red carpet, 2 dogs. I know there is a drug from Iran, but it can read as something valuable, and definitely you as a woman, as someone as a human, as a like man, they can understand when something is devaluing something. In this painting specifically, it's a right, but it could be something else for you. It could definitely people have this. I mean, like if they don't have these feelings that I'm talking, these emotions that I'm talking, they would hate the paintings and this look like, and then they are not my viewer. They are not my community. But yeah, always I have like so many paintings. Like people are coming to my studio and they're reading them in their own pain, and that's the beauteous thing that I'm experiencing with my studio. Like, yeah, It's just like you just need to understand people better, and they will understand it better without thinking about your physical. What is their gender? What is, I don't know, all of these questions that I'm trying to just like something and go to the other. Yeah.
So, I do sports infinity. I don't know if all of you had a chance to look at this painting, but this one I keep coming back to because it took me actually a while to understand what I was actually looking at. First, when I came to it, I was like, oh, this is great. There's this childhood joy, there's this swimming, there's this, cyclical nature of it. It's going around and around. But it wasn't until the third look that I realized that there's actually holes impaled in each of these characters, and they're not moving. Like they're suspended on a sleepwalk, and it's a moment of suspended play essentially. But I want to kind of understand a bit more about this painting because of the one that is happening, and where movement and joy can become illusions and kind of trapped in time.
Yeah. For this painting, I was just like thinking about like how can I show something like if you get the title infinity, you have to assume that this is the infinity. Yes, this is the infinity. It's not they are gonna swim forever. They're gonna be there forever. But then I was thinking like how can I make it more uncomfortable, more disturbing, more like pain. That's the meaning of things cannot be literal but what really get. This is the idea that I was thinking like you need second glance. You need second glance to exactly understand what's exactly happening in your life. Like you are clearly like in it, but it needs second. You are looking at something infinite, but it needs second, and then it's not infinite at all. But it is infinite. But they are freeze, and then when you are freezing something in the moment, it is infinite. Yeah, it's gonna be there forever, but the joy is not there anymore. Right? They are like stuck in the ground.
So we talked about the idea of philosophy of objection, and you were, I think, as you're talking, this is repeatedly this idea of resistance and also kind of defying this your behind, but also just kind of absurd and contradictory nature or something like that. And even what you're saying, like as you're speaking on, some things contradict each other, and I think that's in everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the idea of objection, I would say when at first time I read like is it got like the year that I came to LA, I got this lecture from Julia Kristova that she was talking about attraction. That attraction has this meaning that when something is from you, but when it's out of your body, you are kind of aliens. It can be like your pee. It can be even breastfeeding, or just like these are the things that they are coming from your body, or even like dead body, or even blood. They are the things that you're kind of uncomfortable. They can make you uncomfortable. This is the idea of objection that I started to think about it, like how can I shake the boundaries between two things, at the same time that something that can seduce you and can disturb you, something that can make you laugh and just like make you disgust, or like these are the things that I'm really thinking about objection. Like, and also sometimes I have this specifically. I have a painting that a woman breastfeeding person, which for me is just like going through this cycle again, going through this finding your body, finding your feelings throughout your body. Yeah, I have this playing with boundaries always over things that you don't know. Should I laugh? Should I get the joke? Should I go the other way? This is something sad happening. Like these are the game attention that they have.
Which is so true, actually, the kind of like how life actually is. Often we are kind of living in this in between, back and forth state. That this piece, yeah, it always stands out to great keep right back to it in the show. Be refreshed for you. And this also must be the infinity. So if you notice the white hole in the center, and then you start to look around. There's a lot of these ones and other works that are from Emenaker during school, very phallic symbols, and they're often like cutting into the painting. They're like obscuring things, or they're just in such a central position. Is there significance?
Yes. Yeah, I kind of started to have these phallic symbols. Like in this one, you can see here in this show and the other on the graphs, that those are the two that specifically have these phallics in the middle. And this is also something kind of related to objection, but at the same time, like, I am trying to change the meaning. The way that I grew up, like this phallics is being a man was being in a position of power, right? So, and then I was like, how can I make this power? This is how I'm trying to play the power. I told you, like, when I started applying for UCLA, I had this figure with the penis and dolls on the face because I wanted to make them similar. Like all of my women, all of the men in my painting, they had this as a power, as a something ridiculous power. Yeah. You know, it's doing nothing. Then I worked on that, and then I wrote like, okay, now I am comfortable enough to show these phallics in my painting, but literally useless. They are doing nothing. They are just like in infinity. It could be there. It cannot be there. Like doesn't matter. Or specifically like all the rats one. Even I made it a little bit like more sharp to make it even more like a villain. But then you are saying like it is just sharp and doing nothing. And the human in the painting, also they have like these tightened hands, but they have an act. They sleep with these two tight hands. They could grab two rats. You know, and it's more, you know.
It's an inconvenience, but fun up stuff. Yeah. And they also, I mean, they just look very monumental.
Yeah.
They think about like the Washington lines. There are different things, just like symbols of power, but not actually necessarily doing that much. So then, she's done this off there on that one. So there is kind of a tension in each of these that I'm noticing, and I was missing as I was taking some notes. There's kind of this desire maybe from the deliberation or for its breathe, but also something should be very fixed in paintings. Maybe we've already touched on it.
I would say for me, experiencing liberation, experiencing freedom, has these meanings that like liberation is not something easy, and liberation cannot happen in a clean space. So it should be messy. Then you have this eager for finding freedom. If it's messy, you have a reckless life, comfortable life, but you wouldn't think about freedom. And in my paintings, yes, there is a try for liberation. I'm saying like, but I'm trying to show this try for liberation, try for freedom in a way that something is not okay. In all of my paintings, if you look at it, there is something that is not okay. There is a moment that you're like, there is something wrong. There is something wrong. I have this feeling that I really want to be like a pushchain in your shoes. Like, you can walk at least to your car, then you can sit and remove the pushchain. But this pushchain, that it's a tiny pain, but and distort you and uncomfortable you, makes you uncomfortable. And then you feel this uncomfortableness, then you have this feeling that okay, I need to free to make myself even from the pushchain, even from cooking, even from something in the pain. So this is again another joy parts of being painted that I can play with those ideas, liberation and like conflict with that.
There's a quote by my favorite poet, one of my favorite poets, Orson Shire, great poet, incredible. But she says, "You are terrifying, you strangely beautiful, somebody that not everybody will be able to love." And I kind of get this is like her paintings. and I mean it very positively. But there is this absurdity, there is this beauty, there is this terrifyingness of them, and I don't think necessarily everyone will. You have because there's something in them that is uncomfortable because it's true, and I'm speaking for myself. I don't always feel like that. But yet they're also very truthful, and those are very real and genuine. I really appreciate that on the in my gateway places. But thank you so much.
We're not necessarily going to get questions. We're just gonna move to kind of talk in person.
If you guys need to sit down and you could chat and talk about how to ask for more questions, it's fun.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.